Managing within set parameters. Let me show you what it looks like. So you have a number of variables and they are fixed. And the only thing you're doing is ensuring that these three variables, I just want to be sure they're enough. I want to be sure they're okay. Link this to someone who has one source of income. And every time you go to shop, you notice that the prices of things are going up. And then you say to yourself, okay, I'm just going to cut my expenses and go for only the basic, only the basic. But then you now find out that even sticking with the basic, it's now difficult for you to still meet up. You're managing just within the set parameters. But what happens when leadership steps in? You begin to introduce new parameters. You begin to think differently and ask yourself, how am I going to continue surviving if I don't introduce something else, maybe another source of income or a new skill that can now give you relevance in another sector or field entirely? So leadership introduces new parameters, or you may even change some of those parameters. And until leadership happens, you just see that management will not do anything different. I hope this makes some sense to us. Does it make sense to you? Please let me know. If you need me to expatiate on anything, kindly just let me know. I want us to really get this message today. Are you following? If you're following, let me know. Let me be sure I'm not out here by myself.
Yes, I'm getting you. Thank you so much for your expositions.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Yes, I'm following.
Thank you. Thank you for following. So what we are trying to say is that you need more than just managing. You need to start doing new things. Also, they say that the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. The measure of intelligence, so it's not the number of degrees I have that determine really if I'm intelligent. Am I able to change when things are changing? I know some people who have PhDs, but today they don't have a source of income. And on their own, they cannot create something for themselves. It's good to go to school, but education itself has a limit if your mind will not change. So let's quickly do an assessment here. I was supposed to tell you about it earlier on. Do you have writing materials? We want to do a quick assessment to check your adaptability quotient. If you don't have writing materials, please just you need a pen and a paper at least to do a quick assessment. And what we are saying is that it all starts with a change in perspective. It is expensive to not know how to see. I hope you digest that. It is expensive to not know how to see. It's either you're seeing what is possible or you're seeing only what you know how to do, and that will limit you. We must begin to see possibilities, even if you don't have the skills for something yet. If you see the possibility, you go ahead to build the skill to be able to do it. So let's measure our adaptability quotient. Are you ready for me? If you're ready, say yes, I'm ready. You just take these questions quickly.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what you're going to do is provide answers to them. I hope we can do this as fast as possible. There are ratings there. There are 5 levels of rating between 1 and 5. I hope you can see clearly. Just look at those questions. I think about new and different ways I can accomplish my goals. I challenge myself to question what I presume to know. Rate this statement on a scale of 1 to 5. Rate this statement on a scale of 1 to 5. If you need assistance, please just send me a chat and let me know. This is where the rubber meets the road. Everybody says, yes, it's good to change, but really, How adaptable are we? Are you done? Is anybody done? Don't think too hard.
We're on it. We're on it.
Okay.
They are quite faint, so we're training to see it.
Okay, you can see clearly.
Not very clear.
Oh,
I'm
sorry
on
about
F now.
If you are not using your laptop, it's going to be a bit difficult. The first one says, I think about new and different ways I can accomplish my goals. The second one says, I challenge myself to question what I presume to know. Some people believe they know so much, but really, they haven't really put their hands on a lot of things. If you do, you find out that what you thought you knew, you may have to upgrade your knowledge. Are we on it? Who else is on it? I can hear from Barrister Shadrach. Who else is on this assignment? If you're on this assignment, let me know.
I'm through with mine.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Ronke. Let's do it quickly so that we can meet up with time.
I'm coming too.
Okay, someone is done. Yeah, great. Well done, Madam Ronke. All right, that's great. Thank you, Pastor Antwi. So can you total up your scores, the ratings? If you gave it never is 1, or you chose 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, can you total up your scores? Just add up to get a total. Add up to get a total. Tolu, please, you're going to come up next, so please be prepared.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you for the scores. You may want to keep the scores to yourself. Just note them down. All right, I'm going to share with us the interpretation of this right after Tolu has taken us. So I'm going to bring Tolu up. Thank you for being a part of this. I can only see about 3 or 4 people who said they were on it and they are done. I hope we all took advantage of this.
Yes, I'm done too. You asked us to keep the answers to ourselves.
Okay, absolutely. Keep the answer close by, please. All right. So Tolu is going to come up now to talk to us on how to develop a game-changing mindset. Tolu has walked around the globe. She has schooled and walked around the globe. She's a partner at Amorgate Consulting Limited, or Amorgate Consult. She currently lives in the US, and that's where she's joining us from. So when I say she has walked around the globe, you really can just take my word for it. She brings a lot of expertise with her. Tolu, please, you have the floor. Let's hear from you. Let's learn from you.
Thank you very much indeed. Good morning. Sorry, it's morning for me. Good evening, everyone, and hope we are doing great today. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Good evening, Tolu.
Yeah, sure, I hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Saz and Maz. My name is Tolu Omonera, like she said. First of all, let me start by thanking Tinuke for what she does. She's somebody that I really respect. I think she's passionate. I think she's diligent. I think she's competent. I think she's thorough and rigorous. She didn't pay me to do this. So I'm just saying it because I mean it, right?
Hello.
Maybe that was a mistake. Okay, so I was saying she didn't pay me to do this. So if I don't mean it, I won't say it. I don't flatter people even when you pay me. I say it the way it is. Let me tease myself a bit, and don't worry, I know where I'm going. So I was training last week some people from the Federal Parliament of Ghana, and we're talking about change. This was in in Washington, DC. And we're talking about change and, you know, processes, implementing change. I gave them examples of public sector reforms work I've done in Nigeria, the one I've done in Ethiopia, the one I've done here in the US, right? Worked with a county here in the US on an 18-month project. I was telling them we don't pilot. You know, I was going to the heart of the matter. You know, doing it very warmly, you know, in a friendly manner, but saying it as it is. But what was funny for me was when we got to a point when they said, oh, but we can create systems in Africa, we can create systems in Ghana. And one of them gave an example and said, there was a time when we found out that our drivers were getting like fake licenses for us, and the police would stop us and say this license is fake. Now, this, don't forget, they are the members of the federal parliament. And so we went back to fix the system. I was like, very good, clap for yourselves. I mean, I didn't put in those words. I said, yes, very good, but let me tell you what happened. So I told them another story, true story. I said, I currently serve as the Racial Justice Committee lead of Pennsylvania Association of Nonprofit Associations, right? PANO, nonprofit organizations. I said, so PANO has been saying they want to do more about racial justice and so on and so forth. I said, but after the killing on Buffalo, I don't know if you heard, there was a killing in New York, in Buffalo. A couple of Black people were killed by a young white boy, and there was a killing, a very painful one in Uvalde, Texas, where some largely Latino children were killed. After that, I called for a meeting and I said, are we ready to work or are we not ready to work? And I also said something. I said, look, I've heard that, this is to panel, I've heard that, God forbid, it's the day the children of maybe the people who sit in the Congress, in the United States Congress, when their children get killed, God forbid, that's the day they will wake up and do something about the gun laws. So I turned it back on the people from this parliament. I said, is it because those, is it because those fake licenses were affecting you that you suddenly woke up and created a system that worked? And when I finished the training, I laughed at myself. I said, you don't even care whether they'll call you the next time. And I laughed. I said, well, that's my business, right? Leave that to me and God. Let me say it the way it is so we can have change, right? I can see somebody here called Adeyinka Antwi. Antwi, as far as I know, is a Ghanaian name. Is a person married to a Ghanaian. Anyway, so I laughed, but they took it, right? I said it respectfully, but I said it. Why am I saying that? I'm not flattering Tinuke. I say it the way it is. I think she does a very great job. I didn't take it myself, but I went through the questions she shared on the adaptability quotient, and I think they are very relevant. And I've been to a lot of trainings where people can be very shallow. And don't get me wrong, I'm not judging, I'm not condemning, but I think that there is a level of diligence that produces depth. And when we are not ready to pay that price of diligence and thoroughness, we will be shallow. And on that basis, for the sake of time, let me begin to speak about today's topic, right? Personal change for the future of now. I have an opening thought and I have a couple of things I'll share. Let me begin with my opening thoughts. Satya Nadella. Satya Nadella is currently the CEO of Microsoft. There was a CEO that I think Bill Gates handed over to who didn't do so well. And when they saw that things were not going very well, Satya Nadella was hired, and he has put the company back on the track of growth. I'm just trying to give you his profile so you know who is talking. And Microsoft, by the way, is a multi-billion-dollar organization, right? Satya Nadella said longevity in this business is about being able to reinvent yourself or invent the future. I'll repeat that, and I may probably quickly try to type it in the chat box because I'm going to build the next 10 to 15 minutes on that. Longevity in this business, right, is about being able to reinvent yourself or invent the future. Now that's powerful, right? Those are two very powerful things. Think about it. Normally, this is the point where I'll ask you, what does this mean to you? But we don't have the time for that. So let's go straight into the matter. Longevity in this business is about being able to reinvent yourself or invent the future. Thank you. Reinvent yourself or invent the future. Thank you so much for putting that up. Now, one thing I want you to know, let me go back to the people I was training last week. Guess what? Do you realize that Ghana today has almost stable electricity? Let's talk about the good things they've done. They have done something well, and they are still doing some things well, right? I just want to bring the balance to that. And they are still interested in building a nation that works. I'm passionate about nation building. So they are interested in reinventing themselves. They are anticipating the future. They are looking, I mean, the first thing I noted the first day of the training was that they were there by 9. I was like, wow, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. That's some seriousness, right? But back to the point about Satya Nadella's quote. Now, there are 2 points to that. You either reinvent yourself or you invent the future. And that's very, very relevant for the topic. Why I chose that quote as a starting point is because of the topic, personal change for the future of now. If you look at the first part of today's title, it speaks to the first part of Satya Nadella's quote. That's reinventing yourself, personal quote. Sorry, personal change. That's reinventing yourself. The other part of Satya Nadella's quote is like the second part of today's topic. That is what? Inventing the future. In other words, bring the future to now. I'll repeat that. The first part of Satya Nadella's quote is like the first part of today's topic, right? Look at the quote again in the chat. Reinventing yourself, that's personal change. But the second part of his quote, it's like the second part of our topic. What did he say? Invent the future. Bring the future forward. Do it now. Days, because the future you are most prepared for, now this is Toru Omadara, the future you are most prepared for is the one you create, not the one you anticipate. The future you are most prepared for is the, I mean, let me make this blue. Just think about the people who created the internet. Just think about Steve Jobs. He's dead, but he's still alive. Because he created a significant part, or he is one of those who created a significant part of the future that was then, which is now. Right? The future you are most prepared for is the future you create, not the one you anticipate. But let me go back to the first part before we get to that second part. So today's conversation is in 2 parts: reinventing yourself and inventing the future, bringing the future forward. Let's talk about reinventing yourself. Now, that's a future somebody else has created that you are trying to adapt to. God bless you as you do. And I'm not being sarcastic. It's possible, but it's better to be ahead. But let's take that first. Now, let's imagine you are trying to adapt to the future that somebody else has created or other people have created that you have not been a part of creating. There are, I think, for about 4 key things I'll share with you. The first thing is no complacency. And this also applies to creating the future, right? No complacency. This is a very good time to be having a conversation like this. This is more or less half year, right? 2 days ago was June 30, right? So we are more or less in half year. As far as the business world is concerned, we haven't even entered half year. You will enter half year on July 4 for those of us outside America. For those of us in America, because 4th of July is Independence Day, you will enter the other half of the year in the business world on July 5, Tuesday. What am I saying? One thing is very critical here, right? You cannot, I do not care what you think you have achieved this year. It's just the beginning. I do not care what you think you have achieved all your life. You have just started. The day you stop striving is the day you start dying. You may be alive, but you're dead. You're irrelevant. The day you stop striving is the day you start dying. No complacency. There must be absolutely zero tolerance for complacency if you are going to be able to reinvent yourself. Absolutely no tolerance, not even 0.00001. Because the slightest room you give to complacence, and you're already descending from the ladder of excellence. I'll repeat that. The slightest room you make for complacence, and you are already descending down the ladder of excellence. You are either going up or you're going down. There's nothing like staying on the same level in life. It's not true. Don't deceive yourself. It's an illusion. There's no stagnation. There's either elevation or descent. Why? Because if you think you're on the same level, guess what? Some people are moving ahead while you are staying behind. So compared to those who are moving ahead, you're already behind. So there is no stagnation. It's either elevation or deprivation. So that's the first key point I want to make for the sake of time. Absolutely zero tolerance for complacence. Number two, connected to that, you must have the concept of increasing greatness. I'll repeat that. You must have the concept of increasing greatness. I'll use the example of Bill Gates again. He's not been perfect, but I think he's done some things right. He created Microsoft. Oh my God, that was a wow, even in the 90s. But do you know that he still went on to create the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? And that is also a star to behold in the development world. I do not care how well you have done. Let me come home to Nigeria. I know a friend, Tope Adebayo, Barrister Tope Adebayo, who started a company, Tope Adebayo LLP. I helped them to put some processes together about 11 years ago, 2011. But Tope Adebayo always had a great vision. He worked with some great people in the legal space in Nigeria before then. And he had a vision of not just creating, your regular law firm that earns. He actually wanted to build an institution, which is a very rare thought in our own climate. Today, Tope Adebayo LLP is being managed by a lady called Mosuoke. I worked with Mosuoke back then too. Why is this important to me? It's because Tope Adebayo actually built that, or is building that law institution that is strong, that is admirable, that people want to aspire to. And he is now currently managing a hotel right behind Sheraton. And it's not just a quote unquote, a small hotel, and there's nothing wrong with small hotels, but it goes to the size of his dreams. He's always somebody dreaming, aspiring. The last time we met with him when I was around in Nigeria, I was glad. I mean, I looked at the hotel. I can't remember the name of the hotel, but it's right behind Sheraton on that Okwebi Link Road. And he's putting processes and he will make an institution out of that hotel again. That's the truth. He has done it before. And because he's not a complacent person, he will do it again. He will achieve that feat again. Have I met brilliant lawyers? Yes. But have I met aspirational lawyers? Not many. Not many, that's the truth in our climb. Please feel free to drop your chats, comments, questions as I'm speaking. So there must be that. I came back home to Nigeria, so it doesn't look like it's just about we are not Americans, we are not Europeans. Well, I'm deliberately giving you a Nigerian example, right? You must have that concept of increasing greatness. Remember, we are still on the part one. Reinventing yourself. That's the second point. I said I was going to make about 4 points. The third point, you've probably heard the story before. That's the eagle methodology. I still read that story a few days ago, right? The eagle methodology. I don't know if you've ever heard of the story of the eagle. The eagle is the bird among birds. Is the king of birds, right? The eagle will go up and soar. It doesn't fly. And that goes back to something Tinuke said at the beginning. Let me quote it. I tried to note it. She said, when challenges are presented, on the flip side, you find opportunities. That's what the eagle does. The eagle, the storms that will cause other birds to hide is what causes the eagles to soar. The eagle actually goes right to the face of the storm and allows the storm to lift it up. I wish I could tell you several stories of my life. I'm like the eagle in that regard. Do I love challenges? Do I like the discomfort? No. But do I love the opportunities that come with it? Yes. And one of the biggest opportunities that comes with challenges is renewal, growth, and guess what? Self-discovery. There are dimensions of yourself you think you know that you don't really know until you face the challenge. I'm telling you the truth. I've seen it many times in life. You think you know how strong you can be, wait for the storm. You think you know how resilient you can be, wait for the challenge. You think you know how creative you can be, wait for the troubles of life. You'll be like the eagle, right? You will see what you carry that you never realized you carry until you are facing the storms of life. But the real thing I want you to note about the eagle methodology, thank you for that comment, Tinike, is that the eagle also goes to renew itself. I'm still tying this to reinventing yourself. The eagle is said to go into the woods. It will take his body, you can read this up, it will hit its body against like the woods or a rock. Actually, what I heard many years ago, and I still read a few days ago, it will hit his body against a rock harshly, hit it and hit it and hit it until all the feathers come out. A lot of blood will come out with it, a lot of discomfort sometimes, but by the time it finishes, new feathers will then begin to grow and is ready to take on the world again. How well do you say bye-bye to your past successes? How well, the past is not a place to dwell, both for good and for bad. If there have been challenges, I think I saw it in one of those adaptability quotient questions. I think it was something like, my failure presents opportunities for innovation. I think the last question. If you appear to have failed, well, guess what? You may simply have discovered another way to do it. And even if you missed it, so what? That's in the past. Get up and move on. If you don't have that attitude like that eagle that can thrust itself against the rock till it plucks out all the old, you cannot reinvent yourself. The very word reinvent means to renew. It means to create another version of. It means to reform. So exactly how can you reinvent yourself if you're stuck in the old for bad? I know some people, I missed it. So what? Who hasn't missed it? Who is Mr. Perfect in that regard? Number two, don't be stuck in the past, even for good. And that's the part I have spent some time on, so I won't dwell on that again. Even for good, don't dwell on your past successes. Otherwise, you will become complacent. Move on. There is something more. As far as I'm concerned, that's my theme for half year 2. There is more. Finally, the fourth point on reinventing yourself. You must learn to retreat to refire. You must learn to retreat to refire. There is a place for retreats. There is a place for refreshing yourself. Right? Don't learn it the hard way. Some of us walk. You must learn to rest. 7 is a number indicative of rest. There is absolutely nothing wrong in retreating. You retreat to refire. You retreat to renew. You retreat to refresh. It's part of reinventing yourself. Sometimes you even retreat to see new perspectives. Sometimes you literally, especially at a time like this, like I said, half year is a very good time to pull back and say, what have I done well from January to June? What could I have done differently? What have I learned? What must I change? You must learn to retreat. This is a culture that I've always believed in, even when I was in Nigeria. So it's not about being abroad. I would take money and go to a hotel at some point deliberately and just see things differently. Deliberately pull myself away from my typical environment at critical times, half year, end of year. Deliberately pull away. You must learn to retreat to refire. Let me go to, so those are the 4 key points for part 1, reinventing yourself, right? Personal change, no complacency, increasing greatness, the ego methodology, and retreating to refire. Now, let me go to inventing the future. Inventing the future. Remember Satya Nadella's quote again? It's about being able to reinvent yourself or invent the future. Now you are not responding. You are trying to be the one that people will respond to. Well, number 1, you have to learn to dare. Please dare. You can never invent the future if you are limited by the past. I'll repeat that. You can never, never invent the future if you are limited by the past. Don't be afraid. Oh, it's never been done before. So what? Look, I boarded a train last week, a few days ago. It's called the Amtrak train. I looked at the Amtrak train. It runs in New York, it runs in Florida, it runs in Atlanta, it runs in this. It's a system. I always say this to myself a lot. Every time you enter a system that somebody built, you have to remind yourself you owe the world that you must also build a system. Every time. And you also do it in Nigeria. Some of us board aero contractors. Like anytime, it's a system that somebody built. Somebody took the leap. Somebody dared. Every time you are benefiting from a system that was created, remind yourself you also owe the world. And you can take it. And I'm saying this is the higher level. If you think you can't do this, please just at least reinvent yourself. But for those of us that can dare to create the future rather than wait to respond to it, those of us that will choose to invent the future, the first critical point is to dare. Don't be limited. Don't be limited. You must dare. Number 2, don't compare. Don't compare. Because sometimes you are not to recreate, but totally create. I'll repeat that. Do not compare. When you are comparing, that means a form of it exists already. But sometimes I still go back to those that created the internet. You and I are here today. I'm thousands, literally thousands of miles away. And here we are benefiting because somebody did not compare. You could have compared the typewriter to the fax. The fax was an invention, right? A reinvention of the typewriter, if you remember the fax machine. But the web was a little bit of a new creation altogether. So also be careful about comparing if you want to create the future, if you want to invent, not reinvent yourself, but totally create the future, right? Then you better be ready to stop comparing because you may not have a precedent. I'll repeat that. You may not have a precedent. Has a nation never been born in a day? Has a virgin never conceived? For those of us who read the Bible, for those of us who read the Quran, there are also examples of miraculous events that had no precedents. Be ready for the unprecedented. That's the mindset that creates the future, that invents the future. So number 1, dare. Number 2, don't compare. I'll go to don't compare because you are not to recreate sometimes, but to totally create what never existed, what never had a precedent. Number 3, please, I'm begging you, sever yourselves from relationships. I remember a story in the Bible when David, this is a popular story, David and Goliath. He got to the battlefield and he said, oh, what shall be done for anyone who is going to kill Goliath? And his brothers looked at him and said, I know the naughtiness of your heart. The Bible says he turned to another. Immediately, he already knows them. That's why he spent time by himself in the wilderness. There are people you must severe from. And because he was able to severe from them, he was able to take down a giant. There are giant challenges, giant corporations, giant institutions that you have the capability to compete with. But if you don't severe from the naysayers around you, you will never dare. So you must severe, you must dare, don't compare, severe. Number 4, revere. There must be people you are also aspiring to, those you look up to, who, because even though you are trying to take on unprecedented challenges sometimes, there have also been people who have done similar things, not particularly in your field, right? But they have done things like that. I've told you about Bill Gates. I've told you about Steve Jobs. These are people that you can say, okay, if these people could dare the impossible and create altogether new platforms, then I can do it too. So you must severe, but because nature abhors a vacuum, as you are severing yourself from wrong relationships, from naysayers, those that can try to put a wet blanket on your aspirations, also look at people you can look up to, right? Those you can revere. And finally, share. What do I mean by that? Remember that you are also an example to others. I don't know the number of times I've reminded myself, Tolu, there are people looking up to you. I've seen people do a lot of things because I've done them by God's grace. I've seen people that imitate me as I try to imitate others who are doing the right things. So even when you think you are tired, even when you think you can't continue, even when you think you can't reinvent yourself, even when you think you can't invent the future, remember, there are people you need to live your life for, and you must share. Well, on that note, I wrap up. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Tineke. Back to you.
Wow, wow, wow. I just typed a message to you and I said, these lessons are deep. How many of us agree with me? Do you agree those lessons are deep? And they're not things that we can take for granted.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Tolu. It's always a pleasure listening to you. It's always a pleasure learning from you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's just different when you talk. You agree with me? Who else agrees with me? It's just different when Tolu talks. And we were talking about how challenges can present opportunities. Let me shock you. Tolu and I have never met one-on-one. She was speaking on a platform and I connected with her. This is the second time she's speaking on my program. So as much as we say there are so many challenges, things have never been easy as now. You can do a lot. You can do so many things, even without living where you are. Tolu, thank you so much once again. I really appreciate it. And I'm definitely going to refer to the points that you made. And I want to strongly believe that you wrote them down. Who took notes? Did you take notes? I tried to type some things in the chat box. Did anybody take notes? Do you have personal notes? Those are the things that will keep reminding you of the lessons you've learned from here. Yes, yes. And Tolu will share our contact once we're done. Tolu, please be around on standby to share your contact.
I may need to run off soon though, but
okay,
thank
please
you
just
so
put it in
much.
the chat box for us now, please.
Okay,
someone says she has a full page. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tolu. God will bless you for us. These are times that we cannot afford to remain the same. So where will the inspiration to change come from? Okay, all right. So let's go to our adaptability quotient. And I want you to see by yourself on the screen what your results mean. Do you still have your results? What did you score? How many of us are on our way to being adaptable? Now you can tell me.
I am.
You're on your way to being adaptable. How many of us are change agent material? I hope nobody is between 10 and 20. Anybody between 10 and 20? You may not want to tell us now. And this seems a little harsh. Time to retire or get out of the way. That may seem a little harsh, but the truth really is that a lot of things have changed. They say that it is the slow that gets eaten by the fast, right? It is the slow that get eaten by the fast. We're recording the entire session, so we're definitely going to be able to share a replay. All right, so let's quickly move through what we have next. We cannot escape the price of change. You're either going to pay now or pay later. You cannot escape it. And it's better to change when you're inspired. Do not wait until you're desperate to change. This is so important. When you're desperate, you would not even think straight. When you're desperate, you're not going to make the right choices. I know many people who should have taken time to change, to grow in the past, but they did not. So right now, their finances cannot meet up, and you find them fall prey easily to money doublers. You'll be so shocked that people will lose money in those kind of schemes. They wasted time and now they're desperate. So on a day like this that you're so inspired, please make up your mind. What exactly are you going to change? And when you pay now, it will just look like you're playing later. Absolutely. At the beginning, I mentioned something about voluntary change, and I say only voluntary change is sustainable. The change you decide to do by yourself, okay? Your comfort zone feels safe and it looks like you're in control, but for how long, right? For how long? And I always say your comfort zone is not your ally. It's so important to be proactive. In management, there is something we call the boiling frog syndrome. When you put a frog inside cold water and you put it on fire, it just relaxes because it's comfortable in that environment. As you continue to increase the fire, it still stays because it's still comfortable. It still gets some things will still come to you, even without really working hard. Over time, when the water gets so hot, it becomes too late to jump out. This happens to so many organizations, many businesses, and many individuals. They're not proactive. Yesterday in my office, they gave me a letter of upward review. They said your service charge that you paid at the beginning of the year has been exhausted. It was supposed to take us from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. But what suddenly happened? The price of diesel, everybody knows. And then they said, you're required to pay this amount. I was calm. I didn't fight. I just took it and I kept it. And I wasn't upset. But do you know why I was calm? Because just yesterday morning, they called me from an agency and said, oh, we have approval for you to conduct this training. Maybe that's why I was calm, because I know, oh, money will come. But do you also know that the training I got approval for is a technical training that we didn't have on our list before? But just about last year, I said, we cannot just have the same set of services that we started with, even now, after 10 years, after 5 years. There must be something new that we're offering. So we decided to branch into that technical angle. Little did I know that we were reskilling so that we would be able to expand our relevance base. If I wasn't proactive, I probably would have picked a fight with the person who brought the letter, okay? And then argue with reality, which everyone knows about. I'll share with you a transformation model. I really don't have time to explain this, but basically they're saying that the environment has moved so much that traditional behaviors are inappropriate for necessary outcomes. The environment has moved so much that traditional behaviors here would mean what you used to do before, how you used to do it before, right? even for necessary outcomes. I said before, you may not be trying to upgrade your lifestyle. You just want to have what you used to have before, but you find out that the resources you used to get cannot even give you what you used to give yourself before. So what I did with this transformation model was that I crafted a framework out of it, which I'm going to share with us. And I say transformational change is evident. When you really change, people will know, even you will know. I'll share with you, there's a lady who used to come to my office, a mentee, and every time she came around, I would just reach into my purse and give her something like for transportation or so. And then she came to my office one day and said, oh, I started this drop shipping business. It's been so good. I'm comfortable. And as she was leaving, I reached to give her something. She said, Auntie, I'm not going to take that. I'm comfortable. I mean it. Now that is change. And that's transformational. It is evident. So she doesn't need handouts anymore. She doesn't need to rely on people, even for the basic things anymore. And I say that when we change, things get better. A lot of people want things to change, but they are not ready to change. When we change, things get better. If you pick up new skills today, you'd have more money in your account. Most especially if you know how to build fantastic relationships, which we're still going to talk about shortly. So this framework is the framework for transformational change. And I say S multiplied by S, we give you transformational change. What are these three S? The first one is skills. I cannot talk enough about skills. The second one is strength. And the third one is staying power. I'll go through this just one after the other. So in the world of skills today, we tell people reskill, upskill. Reskilling means that you're learning a new skill to be able to do another job. Upskilling means that what you were doing before, you can now add more skills and do it on another level. And these concepts are so important. You need soft skills, you need hard skills. A long time before now, the soft skills were not really, people didn't pay much attention to them. Everybody just felt, oh, if I have technical competence, then I believe I'm fine. But over time, they've now said that the former hard skills have become the hard, or the former soft have become the hard, rather. Emotional intelligence, power intelligence, how to read and scan your environment, all of those things. Communication skills, they used to be soft, but now they call them the real skills, because you can have all the technical competence in the world, but if you cannot work effectively with other people, you'll still not be able to meet up with what you're trying to achieve. Multi-skilling. Somebody cannot say, I'm an accountant, and that's it. A single-digit skill. It's not possible anymore. If you're an accountant, what do you know about corporate governance? If you're a medical doctor, what do you tell people about lifestyle? You find out that now medical doctors teach lifestyle management. Some of them have non-governmental organizations. There just must be a lot of things that you do. Not as in doing, there's a way we used to call it to say, I really cannot remember now. Not as in doing too many things, but adjacent things that you can add. And then what about cross-pollination? Things that you wouldn't even think would combine. A lady I know, my daughter was telling me about her, they call her a cake artist, somebody who had art skills. And then she said, I didn't want to throw these skills away. I said, okay, let me combine it with my baking. And that makes the baking different, right? I hope we're following. Yes, thank you, Blessing. Jack of all trades, that just escaped me. You don't have to be a jack of all trades, but there should be some connected kind of skills that you have that make you stand out. Upskilling is that process of learning new skills on your current level, and then reskilling is completely new skills to do something different entirely. This is a cake that somebody baked. The second point is strength. And I always tell people, working with your strength will make the change journey easier for you. It's like swimming with and not against the current. If you're swimming against the current, it's tougher. You're going to get worn out. I read this book many years back by Marcus Buckingham, and it says, find your strongest life. It's so much about knowing your strengths. The session we're having today, if you ask me to do it every day for the next 30 days, it just comes naturally to me. So I also leverage it. Find those things that you can do. It's not that you're going to stay in your comfort zone, even within your strength zone, because some people miss it. They believe if it comes to me easily, then I should just, just stay there. Even within your strength zone, you're not going to stay in your comfort zone. You keep learning to be able to do things on a different level. We've talked about skills, yes, and now we talked about strength. It's so important that you do a personal SWOT analysis. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know your opportunities and your threats. The third one, as I said, is staying power. There are a lot of things you want to do now. You would be thinking, oh, if I start, it will be easy. A lot of things that you want to do will not be easy, right? And people give up on their dreams when it starts to cost them something. Everybody has a dream. If you ask some people now who are approaching 60, they will tell you, I had this dream, I had this vision. Where is it? They fell in for survival. And the moment you fall into survival, you cannot bring that dream alive again. And when people start working on their dreams, sometimes also they want immediate results. So when they don't get immediate results, it looks to them like, this is not worth it. I can't do this. And then they ditch it. Unfortunately, as Tolu said before, if you're not making progress, you're taking steps backward. There is nothing really like being stagnant. So this brings us to that point where there's a difference between being ready and being prepared. You can prepare all you want if you don't make up your mind to take up responsibility. If you don't get ready, you really wouldn't be able to bring out that change out of you, the type that Tolu described, where she said, reinvent yourself. Reinvent yourself. Being ready means that come what may, I'll find a way out of this challenge. You only prepare based on your expectations. What if things happen that you didn't prepare for? How many people thought diesel would be 800 naira per liter, right? Some businesses have shut down. So your staying power really will go a long way. And let me also say something that I didn't mention about skills. It's so important that I mention it. I talked about soft skills. When we teach emotional intelligence, I tell people, you need the ability to tolerate others, accept others, even when they don't look like you, even when they are not like you. Because the person holding your next breakthrough may be wearing dreadlocks. And then you look at him and you say, oh, all these unserious-minded people. You have to be able, I'm not saying values should not align, but if you're introverted and you can't stand extroverted people, you've not even started. It is so important that you build people skills. One of the things that's helped me in business is the fact that I connect with people a lot. I attended a seminar on Sunday, an online seminar, and as it was going on, I was connecting with the organizer. And I can bet that some of his people are on this platform today. Once you see opportunities, build relational skills. It will really take you a very long way. Are we learning anything? Have you learned something so far? If yes, please type in the chat box. The chat box is so silent. All right. Have you identified your strength? It's so important that you know your strength. It's so important. Some people don't know. They say, Tineke, I don't even know what I'm passionate about. I don't even know my strength. It's so important that you know your strengths. Tolu also said something that until you're faced with certain challenges, you really may not know how strong you are. So this is a reason that we don't run away from challenges. Rather, you face them head on and begin to discover new things about yourself. So let's do a short exercise here now. I want us to do a short exercise. Give me a number, any number at all. Just type it in the chat box. Quickly, give me a number. Anyone? 4, 9, 7, 8. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for these numbers. Okay. All right. So now what I want you to do now is I want you to look at the screen and select a number each from the 3 lines. You can see that there are 3 rows here. Select a number each and put them side by side and type in the chat box for me. Just make them a single number. Select any 3 and put in the chat box. Put them together. Okay, Mr. Yokule, we have 719,100, 416. Okay, Memunat, I like your figure. Are these bigger figures? Are these big? Are they way bigger than what you suggested? Who's giving me 247? How can you even get 247? Barrister Shadrach, is it possible? I said, pick a line, pick a number from each line. Absolutely. I want to teach us something about the way the brain works. Your brain is not designed to give you original ideas. How many of us have been trying? You've been racking your brain for something new. You're looking for something new. You just want this initiative that is mind-blowing, and you've been at it for so long, you cannot come up with it. Yes, Madam Runke, thank you. The brain is designed to make connections. It only connects, and it will connect based on what you supply it. If you're not reading books, if you're not exposing yourself to great concepts, great knowledge, the brain will come up empty each time you're looking for ideas. Some people don't understand why they need to read. They don't understand why they should be in this class right now. At the time that you sit to look for solutions, your brain will just scan and check the base and connect those ideas and give you something wonderful. I hope we got this lesson. If you leave your brain to itself, it will give you numbers like 2, 20. It will never think of 417,000. So based on this, I want you to start to spend your time wisely, or rather invest your time wisely. You won't just wake up someday and become really intelligent. There must be things that you fed your brain, okay? There must be things that you fed your brain. And for change to happen, we must take responsibility. I think that's where we have the missing link. People want things to change, but how many people are ready to go through what it takes? Are you ready to accelerate your learning curve? Pick up a book and say, this week, I'm going to read the most essential things in this book. Or I'm going to pay for this course and make sure I go through with it. How many of us have courses that we registered for online and we've abandoned? Please, if you have, let me see your hands up. Some people have so many courses. We just register, we don't attend, we just leave it. If you accelerate your learning curve, I can see hands up. Yes, thank you. If you accelerate your learning curve, you're definitely going to expand your relevance base. Never lose relevance. The day you lose relevance, all is lost. It will affect your bank balance. It will affect the way people respect you. The day you wake up and you don't have what to contribute anymore, then problem has started. You must consciously build your network. This is non-negotiable. Build your network, keep expanding your network. I ask myself every week, which new person have I met this week? Just keep meeting people. You may not even know when or where you're going to need them. Make those relationships and maintain them. So important. Learn new skills. Learn new skills. The technical angle we added to our bouquet of services is in oil and gas. I never knew anything about oil and gas, but I went to learn it. I said, no, after 10 years, we cannot be rendering the same services that we started with. I can't have the same set of skills that I had 2 years ago. It won't take me anywhere, really. So you must look for new skills to learn and invest your time rather than just spend and waste. When you invest, it's just like money. When you invest, you have returns. The time you've used here today, in my own classification, I would say you've invested it. I don't know how it has come across to you. Listening to Tolu today, for me, is an investment because I will refire. As she said, you must refire. And then, of course, how many of us are waiting for the perfect time, the perfect boss, or the perfect opportunity? Really, you don't have to wait. You must take responsibility. Responsibility is a game of leadership. We started today talking about the difference between management and leadership. I'm sure you remember. And the leader is the person who takes responsibility. I also asked the question earlier on, who will lead your life for you? Who will give you the change you want? So important that we take responsibility. So by way of conclusion, I know that since some hands up, and there are some questions I'm going to attend to shortly. I'm glad we still have about a minute or so. True success depends on being nimble in the face of change, and sometimes even seeking ways to change, so you're continually ahead of the curve. I hope you've learned something today. Have you learned something today? Have you been inspired today? It is so important. And I also say, give your vision weight and legitimacy with your why. When your why is not strong enough, you will not make your change happen. When your why is not strong enough, you will not make your change happen. You will not have the staying power. You would easily give in. And you don't want that. So we started today by talking about the future of now. And I said, when the rate of change is fast, the distant future becomes so short. So many years back, if you earned a salary, you could be pleased with that salary for 5 years because prices of things were relatively stable. But today, the salary that excited you 2 years ago, you find out that you get the alert now, it annoys you because you can buy less and less. The rate of change is fast. Without new skills, without new relevance, it will be difficult for you to move into the future. Do we have questions? Do we have questions as we round up? It is time to reflect. You don't leave our classes without going through some reflection. If it's possible for you, I don't know where you're attending this session, just spend 5 minutes after we have shut down. Look at your notes. Come up with things. Ask yourself, what do I really want? Why do I want it? How will my life improve? Okay? If I changed positively, how best can I utilize the second half of 2002? Ask yourself these questions. It is really important. They say anybody who cannot reflect cannot improve. Anyone who cannot reflect cannot improve. It is so important. And the difference between being clear and not being clear is huge success. Many people don't have clarity. So they don't even know where to put time. They don't know where to put energy because they don't have clarity. Until you're clear, success will really be distant. And make obstacles things to conquer, not things to stop you. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you so much for your time. I want to say that I have learned a lot. Every time I teach, I attend the class myself. Someone asked me, Tinuke, you're always doing new things. I said, yes, I teach a lot. But every time I'm teaching, I am also in that class. And I will definitely also do this reflection as we shut down today. Has this session been worth your while? Do you have questions? Dr. Antwi, Pastor Antwi, you were asking about reinventing the wheel when Tolu said, don't compare, right? And she was talking about, actually, there are times that we say, don't reinvent the wheel. There are certain things you want to do, you just leverage on what has been done before. But there are also some times that what you want to do has not been done. And you need to think, not even outside the box, do not think as if any box existed. So that was what she meant by don't compare. All right, do we have more questions? Do we have more questions?
Thank you, Atinuke.
Thank you so much.
I just want to make a little confession that I've learned so much, particularly from where Tolu was speaking and then where you also took it from and ended. Tolu said that there should be time for rest.
Yes.
And then the other part of the last part of your teaching too was also for us to reflect. I want to just join the two together, rest and reflect.
Okay.
Many times because the way Nigeria is today, I don't know whether it's so in your area, everywhere is somehow tight, things are difficult, things are hard. So we tend to want to walk from A to Z for as much as we have the time, we have the opportunity, we want to do so many things to achieve a lot. So it's actually a wake-up call for us to create more time. No matter how determined we want to also work and achieve so much, we should also be determined to take a rest so that we can achieve a lot as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm impressed. I'm grateful. Yes.
Thank you so much. You know, just today I was thinking about mental health issues that a lot of people are going through right now. But remember, I said before that we cannot escape the price of change. If you didn't pay it before, things will be tough now. So if you're in this session today and from afar, you can smell that there will be trouble if you don't change. Please do not wait until you're desperate. As I said before, don't wait until you're desperate. Do it when you're inspired. And that will help you to relax. Pay now, play later. You really will not be under intense pressure later on. Thank you so much. Do we have more questions? We are shutting down. Okay, Dr. James, thank you. I can see you're saying, where is the place of data and behavior? Yes, you are a data specialist. And what you do is you take data and you help people to change their behavior. One of the reasons we took that assessment also was for you to be able to rate yourself and know where you are. Dr. James is a behavioral specialist that we work with. So for those of you who want to subscribe to our programs, just get in touch with me and you'd be able to benefit from all of these sessions. We just launched what we call the Next Chapter Results Hub, right? And what we do here, we do strategy sessions, we create results framework, and we do hand-holding for implementation planning. If you're interested in this for your organization or for even for yourself, we attend to organizations, teams, and individuals. We're going to have strategy sessions with you and then look at what are your alternatives, create a framework. A lot of times we don't achieve change because we don't have frameworks. As Dr. James said, when you identify that behavior has to change, how do you approach it? And we also work with you to do an implementation planning. Part of this implementation planning is a monitoring and evaluation process, so that you're not just talking about change, but really you are doing what you have. You're achieving milestones as you have planned. All right, so we're going to stop here today. It's so painful to watch you go. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you for everyone who attended. Thank you to Salma. Thank you to Mr. Ayokule, our co-host. Thank you to Tolu. Tolu, I'm sure Tolu she's out of the room already. Thank you so much, everyone. We work with individuals, we work with organizations. You can check our website and download our brochure. Yes, thank you. Okay, someone has a question about demotivation. Yes, so when everything around does not encourage you, what do you do? In emotional intelligence, there are 5 components. The first one is self-awareness. You must be aware of how you feel. The second component is self-regulation. You must be able to regulate how you feel. And the third one is self-motivation. You have to motivate yourself. You need to create systems around you. There are things I listen to in my office all day long, just to ensure my spirit does not go down. So this has to be done actively. You must not take these things for granted. Okay? If the people around you will not motivate you, what will you do? You motivate yourself. I hope I'm correct. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Please stay strong. Develop new skills. If you do, things will get better. All right. Salma, you were supposed to drop the evaluation form. So that, oh, thank you so much.
Yes, I just dropped it now.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure next time we'll listen to what you learned from the American
Definitely. I look
Embassy.
forward to it. Definitely.
Okay, you share with us. Thank you so much. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Please, my email address is here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
If you have questions, you can reach out. If you need materials, you can reach out to us. All right. The evaluation is in the chat. Please drop it again, Salma, so that we can get some valuable feedback. Thank you. See you some other time. Thank you. Thank you.
I just sent it again.
All right. Thank you so much. For those of us who are still in the house, please share what you have learned with your family members, share with your friends to go a long way in even helping you retain your lessons. Okay, so Sam, I think that someone is saying we should send the evaluation to the group or what? Okay, maybe the materials to the group.
Okay, the materials or the link, which one?
Madam Mary, are you talking about the materials or what are you requesting that we send to the group? Okay, the material. Okay, all right. We'll post the material on the group. Okay, all right. So we're going to shut down now. If you want to join the group, okay, we're going to send the link to you. We're going to send the group link to you.